We are going up to panel number 6, all about life hacks, succeeding at life, and focusing on what matters. Come on, our panelists, come on up aboard here. They asked a bunch of ophthalmologists here, the most challenging part of your job. I hope more than 2% said no. We'll see. 35% said having so many rules and regulations, this will make you stressful. 16% difficulties getting fair reimbursement. You need a massage after that. Dealing with difficult patients, keep mending. 13% having to work longer hours for less money. Having to work with an EHR system, 10%. And 7% said worrying about being sued. So all of this stuff can fill your head and impair the balance that you chase after in your life between work and your non-work life and pleasure in both of those domains. We have 3 expert veteran YO Ophthalmology Committee members who are going to be talking about strategies that they have successfully used in their own careers with their own families. Oh, one last thing here about hours per week seeing patients. 11% saw 30 or less hours a week. Yikes! All right, 38% see 60 or more work hours per week. All right, experienced ophthalmologists. Okay, so where are we going to find the balance to make this happen? Here's our panel, and I was given a series of sample questions, so I'm not sure who's supposed to be answering which, but I'd like to ask each of you very quickly, take us through what your typical work week is like. Go.
Sure. So I typically like to keep pretty limited hours. So we start around 8 with the first patient. Last patient's always out. Last patient appointment's at 3:30. And typically my practice, we don't see patients Friday afternoon. So we do, I'll do
What, are you a dentist or what? I mean, come on.
So that's my work week. So I'm usually operating 1 to 1.5 days a week. And the rest is clinical care. And
Tell us more about Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Does the clinic shut down, or you do
we'll often work through lunch and then try to clear things out and get all our employees home and out by around 2:30.
Oh, you follow.
Are you looking for a retina specialist?
And that was just a practice decision that this would make everybody happy to get out earlier, beat the rush hour traffic on Friday, and get home. And
the ultimate
it's good
flex
to
time.
join a practice that has the same beliefs and work style that you do.
Wonderful. Janice?
So I'm in academics, and my day usually starts between 7 and 7:30 in the morning and ends at 7 p.m. at night. Usually filled with committee work, meetings, and as a medical student educator, I have a lot of meetings and advising sessions that I have. So that's how it is 5 days a week. I do operate 1 and 1.5 days a week, and the rest of the time is clinical.
How much does your work life impact your weekends? Since you've already given away all your weekdays.
Right. So part of my growth into having more balance, I had a crucial conversation with my husband and myself saying that we really do need to turn off work over the weekends. So I don't open up my laptop on the weekends unless it's really critical.
Okay. And Rob?
So I take Monday and Fridays off. So I'm known as a one-upper. I just wanted to one-up Brad there.
You always do, Rob.
So my first patient starts at 7:40. And I see about 50 to 55 patients per day. I'm in surgery 1 to 2 times per week, high volume cataract surgery, so it's busy. Followed in the evenings either by a work meeting at least once a week, and then I'm usually on a conference call with the academy, usually once a week, just on the various committees that I volunteer with. My kids are older, and we'll probably get into that as well. But when my kids were younger, I was always there, maybe 90% of the time for their games. I would always head out of work early. I'd come in earlier and leave a little earlier. Still saw the same amount of patients, just shifted my schedule later. And by starting at 7:40, you actually are ready to go by 7:50, 7:55, as opposed to some of your other colleagues might be starting at 8:20, 8:30.
Okay. We know about Rob. We know about Janice. Married, single?
I'm married. I have 2.5-year-old twins.
Wow. Okay. So we'll bring up the spouse issue. All right. What's the contract you have with your spouse regarding hacking and finding balance?
And I should say, my life sounds pretty easy. In reality, I don't stop working pretty much ever. I mean, I make time which is very important for my family. So my wife works more than I do. She's a corporate attorney, and she often leaves for a week at a time to go someplace else, leaving me home alone with the kids. We don't have family in the area. We do have a very good nanny, but it can be challenging. And basically, I get home, I'm working, hanging out with my kids, get them to bed, and then I'm working for the next 3 to 4 hours every night. I haven't watched TV.
Now we're seeing the real ugly
in
side
probably
of it.
about 2.5 years. So,
All right.
I love what I do, so I'd rather be doing that than just hanging out,
So
watching
you're not
a TV show.
begrudging it. This
No.
is the deal you made, and this is what
yeah.
you want to do.
This is what I love. And the joy of my life each day is that each day I get to run home and hang out with my kids, and that makes everything worth it. I mean, there's nothing more that I feel I have to do during the day besides that in my work. And then on the weekends, you have some time to do some other things and see friends and family.
Okay, and remember, you haven't poured concrete on this. As the dynamics of your family changes,
Sure.
these choices will also change as well. Everybody always talks about finding that work-life balance. Well, it's also a movable goal, all right? And you strive towards it. It doesn't mean you're ever going to hit the sweet spot. You can get mighty close, all right? But it remains an elusive goal that you should strive hard to follow and to achieve as best possible. But it doesn't mean you're going to hit it every single year. What it means is don't neglect it. Don't neglect the need to inject other things into your life. First 5 years in your practice, then you'll all agree that nose is going to that grindstone for many reasons, for many powerful reasons that drive you and keep you focused on what you're doing. But you'll also be quick to admit you can't do it forever. You should, if you do, there's something wrong with you. You don't want to do it forever. There is other elements to your life. So to that point, what's the most fun thing you do on a regular basis outside of ophthalmology?
My family. I mean, just hanging out with the kids,
Changing
being
diapers.
crazy.
With twins, there's a lot of
Yeah,
them.
a lot of diapers. We just, I got a call yesterday during a session from my nanny.
Do you really want to talk about that right now?
Well, it was an emergency, I thought, because she never calls me. And
She ran out of diapers.
I ran outside. My daughter was on the phone. She said, "Daddy, I went poopy on the potty."
Awesome! And
First time.
you weren't there. I hate you. All right, Janice, you hinted at your conversations with your practice manager, your husband.
Right.
Tell us how that goes, and maybe we should know what your husband does.
Yes, he's a network engineer. He works from home. He has a very flexible schedule, and he's done the pick up and drop off. He's the nanny too. He does all the bedtime routines. So without him, I would not have been able to do all that I do at work. So that's why he was part of that crucial conversation about what this life is going to look like. What I like to do outside of work, I actually haven't been able to return back to my love, but I do want to say as a Pearl, please remember your passion, remember what you're really interested in, what you love. Because ophthalmology and training can really kind of suck out a lot of life of you. 3 years of residency is really hard. But don't forget the things that you were before you applied for ophthalmology. I get to read those applications and they say you are an accomplished violinist or you are, Eagle Scout. I see all these wonderful accomplishments, and I just want to encourage everyone to continue remembering what they do, what they love. Because when it gets busy, when life gets busy, you want to return back to that.
Okay, Rob, we're waiting. What's the fun thing you do?
So besides my family, we actually have two grandchildren, a 2-year-old little Josiah, and our granddaughter, baby Grace, 6 months. So I'm at a stage in my career where I'm thinking more about the next generation, and there's nothing better than being a grandparent. So I would say that's probably the most amount of fun. But besides my family, I'm also in the Air National Guard, so I'm busy doing that, and I love racing cars also.
And so what do your grandchildren address you as?
Poppy.
Poppy. I'm Pop-Pop.
Papa?
I'm Pop-Pop.
That's cute.
Yeah, good. All right. I would encourage you also to introduce more things that you and your spouse do together. When my wife Mary and I were married, 1981, yeah, that's right, 36 years ago, Dr. Mary O'Hara, pediatric ophthalmologist, I was an eye pathologist, and as a wedding gift, I bought her a grand piano. Neither of us played piano. I had played trumpet, and Mary played a little golf, but that was it. I said, we need to find something that we can do together. We're both going to be on-call doctors, on-call ophthalmologists in the same program. Let's do something we can do together, and then on nights when one of us isn't around, you'll have the piano, whatever. And so for 20 years or so, we both took lessons and enjoyed playing piano, and we had the same piano teacher. It's kind of like having the same therapist. It really worked out really good. So I would just toss that out to you as well. Finding those extra things that you can do to squeeze the most life into your life. Have you all had a moment where you just said, can't do it, I've just had enough, I've really got to reconnect or just reinvent the wheel? Like, I'm at the end of my rope right now. Rob.
That was me last year. I was taking stock in the importance of life. And, I love to give back and mentor and teach, but I was at a point last year where I realized, you know what, I think I'm too busy. I'm overcommitted. So for my New Year's resolution, one of my goals was to try to cut back and try to slow down. And so I'm actually rolling off two boards next month. And so I'm trying to slow down so I can be home more with our grandkids. There's nothing better than that for me right now.
And how long are you out of your residency?
I'm sorry, Sean. What?
What? Hearing aid question? No. Okay. So
13 years.
This far down the
13
road,
years.
you decided that's where you're going to make that change. That's interesting.
I know,
Had you tried to do it before?
I've been trying it since day one. I'm a yes man, so if someone asks me to volunteer, and you want to say yes for the first 5 years right out of training, yes, I'll serve on that committee. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. You want to follow through in anything that you start, because that's what's going to give you the opportunity to serve in a leadership position. And I love doing that. But then each year that you get a little bit older, you want to try to narrow what you're most passionate about and devote those resources to those areas. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm basically just trying to funnel it to the most critical things that, in my mind, that one I'm most passionate to, and then secondly, what has the biggest impact for others.
And Janice?
I'd like to add to that, take a moment to write your own personal statement. Not the personal statement that you write for residency or fellowship, but the one that actually talks about your core values and things that you're really interested in. I think it's really important to just always come back to, when I say yes to all these things, does it align with my core values, and does it align with the things I love? And that way you don't burn out that quickly.
About the yes issue, when you get to a certain level in life, Lieutenant Colonel, I don't know, whatever rank you are in life right now, I also no longer say yes automatically. I was a real puppy dog 30 years ago. Oh, yes, see, yes, anything. I'll do it. Now I'll say, boy, that's really a great idea. How about I find the right person for this for you? And then I become a sponsor. And then I help some other young enterprising ophthalmologist that wants to get in the door. And I have quite a few that come to me and say, how do you get into this committee? How do you get to do that? Whatever. Say, well, oftentimes you have to wait for the phone call. I say, let it ring. Okay, so you serve the need by giving a conditional yes. I will help you. It won't be me, but I'll send someone who will do a good job for you. And you'll satisfy two people then. Pay it forward. It all works out well. All right? And who did we not touch on? We got you, right? All right. What about travel? Do you incorporate much travel into the work that you do? I don't mean the humanitarian stuff. I mean recreational travel. Are you able to do the physical, geographic breakaway from work?
No. I mean,
No.
I'm at a stage in life.
I live
where-
in Philly. Why would I bother?
Yeah, no, I mean, right now, I will at some point. And we did, my wife and I did a lot of travel for fun before we had the kids. Having twins is kind of a big life change. And we plan to do it again. I would say that, kind of piggybacking off what Rob and Janice said before, you want to try to focus on what you're most interested and passionate about. And part of that is finding ways to not do the stuff that brings no meaning to your life. Mm-hmm. And it's someone who I really respect a lot, who's been a mentor of mine, who's not in ophthalmology, but she was a doctor in a dual professional marriage, said that when she looked back at her life, her biggest regret has been being ashamed to ask for help and trying to do everything on her own. And she said, get as many babysitters, get someone to just do your dishes, anything that you don't think you want to do, that you could spend that time doing something better. You're in a career where you have money, you have means to get help and do that. And that's been the best advice. I mean, I have someone who can come some nights and do the dishes while I put the kids to bed, and then I come down, my kitchen's clean, and I could just do what I want to do.
Where do you find a dishwasher?
At the local university.
Right.
Yeah, let me just get college kids to come for $10, $15 an hour, spend a couple hours there, even if it's 2 or 3 nights a week. makes a huge difference. Just to have another hour that you're not doing the dishes and cleaning up the kitchen, it's so worth it.
And
so
how do you invest that hour? I'm just probing. I'm learning. How do you invest that hour then? Go for a walk with
Whatever
your
it is
wife,
I
or-
want. I mean, I'm running a global fellowship at Wills, and so I can spend that time now working on,
More work.
More work. Yeah.
Got it. All right.
But that means that's one more hour than I can actually sleep.
Who
at
put
night.
him on this thing? I free up my schedule. I can now do more work. It's amazing.
On that note, though, is there, for the panel, are there other things that you outsource at your home? Are there other life hacks, things that help you save time, accomplish what you want to accomplish quicker, or let you focus on what you want to focus on?
I think I have two pieces of advice. One is it's not just time management, it's energy management. So if you are at your freshest in the morning, get the hardest stuff done then, because then you can knock that out and do the easy stuff the rest of the day. And the second tip I have is to make an appointment with yourself. If you value the appointments you make with your residency director or with someone that's really important in your career pathway, think about yourself. Value yourself and actually make an appointment. Put it in your calendar, in your schedule, so that you don't miss that appointment, and that way you take care of yourself.
I'll just add that you want to be there in the moment. And I remember by my third year of medical school, we had 3 kids, and I was tired, just exhausted. So by the time I finished medical school and did my intern year, that was my busiest year. And that was the one year that my wife gave me permission to go play golf. She's like, why don't you go play golf? Go play golf. I'm like, wow. Why she tell me to go play golf? Because she knew I was a bear. I mean, I was very irritated, tired, working long hours. But what I learned is that you don't just be there physically, okay? Because you're really no good, especially if you're a grump or you're sleepy or tired. Try to be there. So if you know that your kids are going to be awake from 6 to 8, that's not a very long time. So you make the most of that. You don't do any of your studying. Do all your studying after 8. But truly try to be there in the moment and be truly engaged with them.
Yeah, I would say it's really equally important is to schedule time for you and your spouse, your significant other.
Ding, 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 ding. Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly. I mean, and it's hard. You get so caught up in everything that if you don't schedule it, like we have to schedule things like 2 weeks in advance, that we're going to have a babysitter come this night and we'll be all ready, get all our work done, and we'll actually spend some time together. It's amazing how the days and the weeks go by and you say, when was the last time we had dinner and ate dinner together?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just really important when life gets crazy to schedule those things in.
How many here have date nights for those that are married? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. 36 years, we still have date night every week, and we hold to it more than our meetings with chairman, in fact. There are some appointments you will always keep. Yeah. And then you always have to manipulate your Microsoft calendar in code as to what this appointment really is. So in case anybody's looking at your calendar trying to move your things around, they go, what is O'Hara consultation? What's that about? Leave it. Cannot be erased, cannot be deleted. Well, this was really a spectacular conversation. I think this is what we should do all next year. Just talk about this stuff because it's really good and it leads to a satisfying, gratifying life. You'll wake up happy in the morning, happy to go to work, and happy to see the first of your 55 patients. All right, so let's give a warm round of applause and thanks to our group here. Any other questions from the floor before we, yes ma'am, here we go.
How many hours do you sleep every night? Like if you spend 4 hours after your kids go to bed working.
You don't want to know.
Don't want to
I mean,
know.
yeah, you better not knowing.
All right.
I sleep the night before the OR, though.
I don't get enough, Dalian. 5 to 6 hours.
5 or 6. Rob?
When I was younger, it was 5 to 6. It's probably more like 6 to 7 now because I purposely start to wind down around 10 o'clock, but I usually wake up about 5 automatically.
But I would say one thing is when you get ready to go to bed, don't read the news, especially these days, because that's a trap I think a lot of people fall into. It's the end of your day, you're exhausted, you just want to go to bed, and we're used to kind of just reading something, and then you get your phone there, and what pops up, well, what Trump said today, or what happened around the world, and it's so depressing. It's not the way you want to fall asleep, and I don't feel like I don't get restful sleep anymore when I open my phone before I go to bed. So have a bedtime routine that doesn't involve you getting angry or frustrated or sad. Just something that you go to sleep at peace.
So Brad just does a selfie before he goes to bed. Looks at
Bada
himself.
bing.
I read Rob's book.
Right.
We have a question back here.
Yes, sir.
So it's a combination, actually. So I just want to let people know that Rob Melendez is the most interesting man in the world. In fact, some people say he's standing still when he's racing a car. Yeah. But one thing I want to say, actually, coming from a resident perspective, you're so focused on saving money and being frugal, and the things we talked about, spending money to get people to sometimes help you with certain things in your life, it really makes a difference. One thing that, we have twins. We have like 2 little boys, and they're just over a year old. And one thing that I've done is actually hire a car service so that when I'm going between work, I can catch up on email and bills and things like that, so that when I come home, the first thing I don't want to do is feel stressed, but I can be there with my kids until they go to sleep. So
It's great.
Rob, how many people have you planted to say nice things about you?
2, just 2.
Okay. I'm not getting paid enough to be one of them. Question.
No, just to. I'm really happy about your honesty. I'm from Denmark, the 4th most happy nation in the world. But the truth is, I work like Brad. I have 2 kids going to school, and I must say the same as Rob in that sentence, that I check my email before leaving work every day, because I need to mentally be at the place when I'm home. Because sometimes my oldest boy didn't have a nice day at school. He might be crying. They bullied him or something. And you need to be there. You need to be mentally in that situation. And then I'm there, and I'm 200% there for 2 hours. Then they go to sleep. And then I'll start working. But the balance is really when you have kids, to be there, not depending if you're there 4 hours. That doesn't matter. If you're there 1 hour and you're focused and you're actually there, it means more than just being there all the time.
So true.
I would also take my kids out for a late night dessert snack, and my wife would always get upset. They would have a bath. I'm like, who wants to go get ice cream? Yeah, let's go get ice cream. So we go drive just before bedtime, right? Go get a little ice cream. Then on the drive back, it was the best. You know why? Because your kids will open up to you when they're eating ice cream, right? And it was a great opportunity for us to bond and to really open up and share a lot of intimate things that happen in their day.
That's great.